In the last two sessions, we have studied characterizations of closed sets. And in this session, we will study characterization of open sets. We know what is meant by an open set. A subset of real numbers is said to be an open set if it is a neighborhood of each of its points. That means for every x element of that set, there should be some epsilon neighborhood of x which is completely contained in that set. In that case, we say that the set is an open set. And we have seen some examples for open sets like open intervals. Now, in this characterization, we say which subset of real numbers will be an open set. The theorem says that a subset of real numbers G is open if and only if it is a union of countable collection of pairwise disjoint open intervals. So if G is an open set, we can write G as the union of countably many open intervals which are pairwise disjoint. So this theorem completely characterizes the open sets in R. So we have to prove this theorem. Since this is a necessary and sufficient condition, we have to prove that if G is open, it can be written in this form, and if a set is of this form, means if a set is a union of countable collection of pairwise disjoint open intervals, then it is open. You have to prove both part. So I am moving to the proof. First I am assuming that G is equal to union I equal to 1 to infinity open interval ai bi. Okay, so this is a collection of open intervals. This is a union of a collection of open intervals, and we don't know. I'm assuming that these are all open intervals and they are pairwise disjoint. Every open interval is an open set in R. We have proved this. Open interval AB is open in R. Then each of these open intervals AI, BI are open sets. And we have studied one property of open sets, properties of open sets. And that property says that the union of arbitrary collection of open sets is open. You take as many open sets, but their union will always be an open set. So here G is union of open sets, so that G will be open. So one part is okay. That means you take any union of countable collection of pairwise disjoint open intervals, it will be open, no doubt. Now we have to prove the converse part. That means if G is open, G can be written as union of countable collection of pairwise disjoint open intervals. So we are assuming that G is an open set in R. Let x element of G be arbitrary. Then I am defining a set capital AX as set of all A element of R such that open A closed X is a subset of G. Suppose I have taken G as open interval 0, 1, and I am taking an X here. Capital AX is the set of all A in R where open A closed X is a subset of G. So if I take an A here, open A closed X is a subset of G. So this A is in capital AX. If I take a here, then also we have open A closed X is contained in G, so that this point will also be in AX. So here in this example, capital AX will be open 0, x. Okay, because every element of this collection will satisfy this property. So capital AX is nothing but open interval 0x. So this is AX. Whether this set will be an empty set. Here, by our assumption, G is an open set and X is an element of G. Then we know that there is some epsilon greater than 0 such that open interval x minus epsilon, x plus epsilon means V epsilon of x is a subset of G. So, certainly open interval x minus epsilon closed x, open x minus epsilon closed x, which is a subset of this, means suppose this is x minus epsilon, this is x plus epsilon, and x will be in the middle. Okay, so open x minus epsilon closed x is a subset of open interval x minus epsilon, x plus epsilon, and it is contained in G. So open x minus epsilon x is a subset of G, so that this x minus epsilon will be in AX. So certainly the set AX is a non-empty set. Now I am defining small ax as infimum of capital AX if capital AX is bounded below. By completeness property, we know that if a set is bounded below, it will have an infimum. And we don't know whether AX is bounded below or not. If AX is bounded below, then it will have an infimum. And I am defining small ax as infimum of capital AX if capital AX is bounded below. And suppose that capital AX is not bounded below, in that case I will take small ax as minus infinity. Okay, so small ax is equal to infimum of capital AX if capital AX is bounded below, and minus infinity if capital AX is not bounded below. Now I claim that AX is not an element of G. We have defined AX as this is equal to minus infinity if capital AX is not bounded below, and equal to infimum of capital AX if capital AX is bounded below. If AX is equal to minus infinity, that means if capital AX is not bounded below, then certainly minus infinity is not an element of G, means AX is not an element of G, and it is trivial. Now the other case, suppose capital AX is bounded below, then small ax is equal to infimum of capital AX. Okay, and we have to prove that AX is not an element of G. For that I am taking that AX is in G. G is an open set. So if AX is in G, some epsilon neighborhood of AX is completely contained in G. And I am choosing that epsilon as alpha. So there exists some alpha greater than 0 such that open interval AX minus alpha, AX plus alpha is a subset of G. Means V alpha of AX is a subset of G. Okay. In that case, we already have open AX closed X is a subset of G. Now we have AX minus alpha, AX plus alpha is a subset of G. So I am considering open AX minus alpha closed X. Open AX minus alpha closed X can be written as open AX minus alpha closed AX union open AX closed X. It's clear from the picture. And both these are subsets of G, therefore their union is also a subset of G. So now I have open AX minus alpha X is a subset of G, which implies this AX minus alpha is an element of capital AX. This will be a contradiction to small ax is equal to infimum of capital AX, because this is a lower bound here, and now we got a number element of that set which is smaller than the lower bound. So this is a contradiction. So AX element of G is not possible. So AX is not an element of G for any X element of G. Now, just like we have defined capital AX and small ax, I am defining capital BX as set of all B element of real numbers where closed X open B is a subset of G. In the last case, we have defined set of all A element of R such that open A closed X is a subset of G. Here, closed X open B is a subset of G. And as in the previous case, we can prove that this is a non-empty set. And I am defining small bx as supremum of capital Bx if capital Bx is bounded above. And I am defining small bx as infinity if capital Bx is not bounded above. Okay, here also we can prove that this Bx is also not an element of G for any X element of G. We should note this also. Now I am defining Ix as open interval Ax Bx for each X element of G. Now Ix will be a subset of G for all X element of G, because we know that open AXX is in G. Similarly, closed X open Bx is in G. So their union will be a subset of G. So open interval Ax Bx will be a subset of G, means Ix is a subset of G for all X element of G. So that I can write each Ix is in G. Therefore union of Ix will also be in G. So union over X element of G, Ix is a subset of G. Also, Ix is open interval Ax Bx, and we have open interval Ax, open Ax closed X is in G, as well as closed X open Bx is in G. Therefore this X is certainly between Ax and Bx. So X is an element of Ix for all X element of G. For each X, X is an element of Ix. So that we can say that G is a G itself is a subset of union over X element of G Ix, because X is in Ix. You take any X from G, it will be in Ix. So G is a subset of union X element of G Ix. So we have written G as a union of open intervals here. Now we have to prove that this is a countable union. Now corresponding to each X element of G, we have taken an open interval. Now we have to restrict this such that this union is a pairwise disjoint union of countably many open intervals. So here I have union of Ix is contained in G. Now G is contained in union of Ix, means G is equal to union X element of G Ix. Next I am claiming that if X and Y are in G and X not equal to Y, then either Ix is equal to Iy or Ix and Iy are disjoint. Ix intersection Iy is equal to phi. So corresponding to two distinct points X and Y, we are taking Ix. Ix is open interval Ax Bx. Iy is open interval Ay By. We have to show that either they are equal or they are disjoint. So anyway, one thing is sure, either they are disjoint or they are not disjoint. If they are disjoint, there is nothing to prove. So I am assuming that Ix intersection Iy is non-empty. They are not disjoint. If this intersection is non-empty, there is somebody here in the intersection. So let Z element of Ix intersection Iy. Then Z is in Ix as well as Z is in Iy. Z is in Ix means Ax less than Z less than Bx. Z is in Iy means Ay less than Z less than By. So I can say that Ax less than Z less than By as well as Ay less than Z less than Bx. From this, what I am going to prove is Ax is equal to Ay. Anyway, by trichotomy property, we know that either Ax equal to Ay or Ax will be less than Ay or Ay will be less than Ax. We have to show that Ax is equal to Ay. First, I am assuming that Ax is less than Ay. If Ax is less than Ay, Ax less than Ay, and here I have Ay less than Bx. Ay less than Bx. So we get Ay lies between Ax and Bx, means Ay is in Ix and Ix is a subset of G. So this means that Ay is an element of G. But we have proved that none of for any x element of G, Ax is not an element of G. So here we got Ay is an element of G. So this is a contradiction. So Ax less than Ay is not possible. This is not possible. Now take Ay less than Ax. Then we get Ay less than Ax. Ay less than Ax and Ax is less than By. Ax is less than By means Ax lies between Ay and By, means Ax is in Iy. Iy is a subset of G, so that Ax is an element of G. This is again a contradiction. So Ax less than Ay less than Ax is also not possible. Then the only possibility is that Ax equal to Ay. So we have Ax equal to Ay. Similarly, we can prove that Bx equal to By. So in short, Ix equal to Iy. So if Ix intersection Iy is non-empty, then they are equal. So either they are disjoint or they are equal. Okay. Hence, what we got is, we already have G is equal to union x element of G Ix, and among these open intervals, either they are disjoint or they are equal. So we can discard the repetition. Okay. Take one open interval only once. If we remove the repeated intervals, my next claim is that the collection of distinct open intervals in this collection is countable. For that, we know that set of all rational numbers is countable. I am taking a one enumeration for rational numbers, R1, R2, etc., Rn, etc. be an enumeration of Q. By density theorem, we know that between any two real numbers, distinct real numbers, there exist rational numbers. So if we take one open interval, there will be infinitely many rational numbers in that set. I am taking one Ix. It will contain rational numbers. Now I am checking whether R1 belongs to Ix or R2 belongs to Ix, etc. And let Rn of x be the first rational number in this enumeration which is contained in Ix. So Rnx element of Q be the first rational number in Ix with the smallest index in this enumeration. So this Rn of x will be in Ix and Ix is a subset of G. So we already proved that take any two distinct elements of G, then either corresponding Ix's are equal or they are disjoint. So here Rnx is in Ix. Rnx is in Ix as well as X is in Ix. So the interval corresponding to Rnx, IRnx, and interval corresponding to X are equal. Okay. So corresponding to each distinct Ix, there is an Rn element of Q such that Ix is equal to IRn. So in this collection, only countably many distinct open intervals will be there, because corresponding to each distinct Ix, we have one rational number here, and the rational numbers are countable. Therefore, this collection is also countable if we avoid repetition. Now, what all things we got? G can be written as union of open intervals, and in this collection of open intervals, some are equal and all others are disjoint. So if we take only distinct open intervals, they are pairwise disjoint, and this collection is a countable collection. The collection of distinct open intervals is countable. So we can say that any open set in R can be written as the union of countably many disjoint open intervals, and this is known as characterization of open intervals. Now, if somebody asks you to give an example for an open set in real numbers, the only thing you can give, only example you can give is either some open interval or union of two open intervals, or otherwise union of three open intervals, or union of countably many open intervals. There does not exist any open set in R which is not of this form.